Last Saturday, my father walked over to the poolside table, picked up my laptop, and threw it into the deep end. Just like that. 2 years of work, gone in 3 seconds. At least, that's what he thought. 15 family members stood there watching. Not one person said anything. My mother rushed over and said, "It's just an accident, Freya. These things happen." I didn't scream, didn't cry, didn't even argue. I just stood there thinking, at midnight, when they're both asleep, I'm going to accidentally cancel some things too. And let me tell you, when they found out what I did, the panic calls started rolling in. Let me tell you how I got here. My name is Freya Lawson. I'm 28, and I create graphic novels for a living. Not comics. Not art books. Graphic novels, sophisticated illustrated narratives that blend literature with visual art. Think of it like directing a movie, except I'm also the screenwriter, cinematographer, and every single actor. Each page takes 8 to 12 hours to complete. I make about $185,000 a year doing this. Some years, when the licensing deals align, I've made over $240,000. My father has never made that kind of money in his entire life. 5 years ago, I won the Eisner Award, basically the Oscar of the graphic novel world, for my first book, Shadowlands Rising. It sold 75,000 copies in the first year. Publishers Weekly gave it a starred review. It's been translated into 12 languages. My mother's response? "That's nice, dear." Then she changed the subject to my father's latest business venture that was definitely going to make him rich this time. Spoiler alert, it didn't. Frank Lawson is 60 years old and has failed at every single business he's ever attempted. The restaurant that closed after 18 months. The landscaping company that went bankrupt because he couldn't do math. The used car sales venture where he bought cars with hidden mechanical problems. The pressure washing business. The multi-level marketing schemes that left him with thousands in unsold inventory. Every single one failed. Every single time, he blamed external factors instead of looking in the mirror. And every single time, he expected family to fund the next guaranteed opportunity. My mother, Beverly, enables every bit of it. She works as an administrative coordinator making $58,000 a year, the only stable income in their household. She resents being the breadwinner while Frank chases business dreams that never materialize. But instead of making him get a real job, she pressures me to give him money. The thing that gets me, the thing that really burns, is how they talk about my career. Frank once told me, anyone can draw pictures and make up stories. That's not real work. That's what children do for fun. This from a man who's lost money on literally every business venture he's touched. Beverly's version is subtler. She tells people, Freya does some art projects, in this tone that makes it sound like a hobby. When I won the Eisner Award, she couldn't even pretend to care. But here's the kicker, despite thinking my career is worthless, they had zero problem taking my money once I started making more than both of them combined. It started 5 years ago. Frank wanted $35,000 for a pressure washing business. I was hesitant, his track record spoke for itself. But they wore me down with promises about how this time was different, how he'd learned from his mistakes, how the market research showed real demand. I gave him the money as a loan. The business failed in 18 months. I never saw a penny back. But instead of apologizing, Frank reframed it. He said I shouldn't expect repayment because family helps family without keeping score. That $35,000 loan became a precedent. Suddenly, my income was family money, and I was selfish if I didn't share. The support kept growing. $320 a month for their car insurance. $215 for internet and cable because they needed premium channels. $85 for streaming services, all of them. $160 for their cell phone plan. Then, 18 months ago, the big one, I started paying their mortgage. $2,400 a month. Do the math. I was giving them $3,300 every single month. Almost $40,000 a year. To parents who called my career a hobby. They never thanked me. Not once. Never acknowledged that my meaningless art projects were literally preventing their foreclosure. Instead, Frank kept presenting new business ventures, getting angry when I refused, acting like I was the problem. Last month, he wanted $139,000 for a coffee kiosk franchise. $139,000. For a man who'd failed at every business he'd ever touched. Who had zero experience in food service. Who couldn't be bothered to do actual market research. I said no immediately. Frank's face went red. You make plenty of money from your art books. $139,000 is nothing to you. Family is supposed to help family achieve their dreams, not hoard wealth. Hoard wealth. I was literally paying his mortgage. No, I said. I'm not funding another business that'll fail in 2 years like all the others. He didn't like that. For 3 weeks, the tension simmered. Then they invited me to their annual summer pool party. Extended family, food, swimming, the usual. I brought my laptop because I planned to leave early. I had deadline work for the Meridian Cycle, my current project, a trilogy that would be over 800 illustrated pages when finished. 2 years of work. 5,000 hours. 47 major characters with complete design sheets. 5 distinct cultures with unique visual aesthetics. Everything was on that laptop. Well, not everything. The important stuff was backed up to the cloud. But Frank didn't know that. 2 hours into the party, Frank approached me by the pool. His expression was smug, aggressive. About 15 relatives were nearby. Freya, he said loudly, I've been thinking about that franchise. You need to reconsider. It's a guaranteed success, and you're being selfish. Public pressure tactic. Trying to use family witnesses to guilt me into agreeing. Frank, I said firmly, I already told you no. You've lost money on every business you've attempted. I'm not giving you $139,000 to repeat that pattern. His face went crimson. His eyes shifted to my laptop sitting on the poolside table. I saw it happen. The exact moment he decided. 3 steps to the table. 1 motion to grab the laptop. 1 casual toss into the deep end. The laptop sank 8 feet to the bottom. Oh, sorry, Frank said, smirking. I accidentally dropped your laptop in the pool. Oops. The emphasis on accidentally while he smirked made it crystal clear. He was enjoying this. Punishing me for saying no. My mother rushed over immediately. It's just an accident, Freya. These things happen. You should back things up better. Blaming me for not protecting my work from family members who might throw it in pools during arguments. I looked around at 15 relatives who just watched my father deliberately destroy 2 years of my professional work. Not one person objected. Not one person called out the obvious lie. Not one person defended me. They just stood there, avoiding eye contact. Their silence said everything. Either I deserved this punishment for refusing to fund Frank's franchise, or they were too cowardly to challenge him. I didn't scream. Didn't cry. Didn't argue about whether it was accidental. I stood there absorbing the reality. My father had deliberately destroyed what he thought was 2 years of my life to punish me for refusing to give him money. And my entire family was supporting it by calling it an accident. After about a minute of silence, I grabbed my towel and car keys. Didn't say goodbye to anyone. Just walked out while Frank and Beverly watched without apology. I drove home in cold fury. Not about the laptop itself. Like I said, I'm not careless. My critical files were in the cloud. But about the deliberate cruelty of it. The smirk. The lie. The family's collective decision to pretend it was an accident. By the time I got to my apartment, I'd made a decision. People who think destroying your life's work is funny while living off your income need to experience their own accidents. The kind involving things they actually care about, like the comfortable lifestyle they've been maintaining entirely on income from my meaningless hobby career. I spent the evening confirming my cloud backups were intact. Everything was there. Frank's laptop destruction had caused professional inconvenience, but not actual loss. That realization transformed my panic into cold determination. At midnight, when I knew they'd be asleep and unable to reverse my actions, I started systematically dismantling every financial support system I'd been quietly providing. First, canceled the automatic mortgage payment scheduled in 5 days. Logged into my bank, found the scheduled transfer, deleted it. $2,400 that would no longer prevent their foreclosure. Second, removed myself from their car insurance policy. Called the 24-hour customer service line, explained I was no longer financially responsible. Done in minutes. Frank and Beverly were now sole policyholders for premiums they couldn't afford. Third, canceled every streaming service. Netflix, Disney+, Amazon Prime, HBO Max, Apple TV+, Paramount+. $85 a month of entertainment they used daily without ever acknowledging who paid for it. Fourth, terminated their internet and cable service. Called the provider, explained I was the account holder but would no longer maintain service at their address. Disconnection scheduled for 72 hours. Fifth, removed myself from their cell phone family plan. Contacted the wireless provider, split their lines onto a separate account under their names. They'd get their own bill immediately. Sixth, contacted their mortgage company to clarify I wasn't a co-borrower, had no legal obligation for their loan, and shouldn't be contacted about payment issues. I wanted them to understand any upcoming problems were Frank and Beverly's sole responsibility. The whole thing took about 3 hours. By 3 a.m, I'd successfully removed myself from every financial obligation, automatic payment, and service subscription supporting their lifestyle. Before bed, I printed a note to mail to them. Oops. Looks like I accidentally canceled some things. Just a small mistake. These things happen. You should plan better. Echoing their dismissive characterization of Frank's laptop destruction. Making it clear my financial withdrawal was equally deliberate, and calling it a mistake was exactly as dishonest as calling his action an accident. The satisfaction I felt was ice cold and absolutely justified. The consequences started within 48 hours. Internet and cable disconnected exactly 72 hours later, midday. Suddenly no connectivity. They called the provider, who explained the account holder had terminated service. Restoring it required credit checks, installation fees, security deposits, first month's payment, about $500 they couldn't immediately cover. Streaming services stopped working when Frank tried to watch his evening shows. Cancellation screens prompted him for payment information, revealing someone had terminated everything. Cell phones stopped making calls. Suspended service messages. The provider had transferred their lines with immediate billing, a $400 charge needed immediately to restore service. But the real panic hit on day 5, their mortgage payment bounced. Insufficient funds. The bank sent automated notification. They needed alternative payment within 5 business days to avoid late fees. Continued failures would result in foreclosure proceedings. According to my cousin who maintained contact with both sides, Frank and Beverly spent that day making desperate calls to the bank, trying to understand why the payment failed. When they realized I must have canceled the automatic transfer, Frank tried calling me. I'd already blocked both their numbers. They tried email, social media messaging, contact through mutual relatives. All got automated responses saying I was unavailable and would respond at my convenience. Translation: never. By day 6, my blocked phone showed 37 missed calls from Frank, 42 from Beverly, and 63 text messages I couldn't read. The most revealing one I could see in the preview, please in capital letters from Frank. His version of begging without actually apologizing. I didn't respond. Instead, I continued working on the Meridian cycle from my cloud backups, making excellent progress while experiencing zero guilt about their self-created crisis. They'd chosen to destroy my work to punish me. Now they were experiencing natural consequences. 1 week later, Beverly left a voicemail from a number I hadn't blocked yet. Freya, honey, we need to talk about this misunderstanding. Your father's accident with the laptop was unfortunate, but you're overreacting by cutting off all support. We could lose our house because of your angry reaction to an accident. Please call us back before things get worse. Still calling it an accident. Still refusing to acknowledge the truth even while facing foreclosure. I sent one text before blocking that number too. Not an accident. You destroyed 2 years of my work on purpose and called it accidental. Now you're experiencing consequences that are equally deliberate. Enjoy discovering what real accidents feel like. 2 weeks after my financial withdrawal, the situation had escalated. Car insurance canceled, illegal to drive without coverage. Credit card frozen due to non-payment, no access to credit for groceries, gas, anything. Mortgage company sent formal default notice, initiating foreclosure proceedings. Comprehensive financial collapse, teaching them exactly what their comfortable lifestyle had actually cost and who'd been providing the resources maintaining it. 3 weeks later, they convinced a cousin to host a family meeting to pressure me into restoring support. I declined to attend. According to my cousin, Frank and Beverly presented themselves as victims of my cruel overreaction to an unfortunate accident. But several relatives who'd witnessed the actual laptop destruction spoke up, saying Frank's action looked completely deliberate and his "oops, just an accident" comment while smirking made it clear he was enjoying punishing me. The witness testimony contradicted their victim narrative, creating family division about whether I was justified. I didn't care about family consensus. The people who destroyed my work while living off my income had revealed their true character. 1 month later, their financial crisis forced real changes. They borrowed money from Beverly's sister for mortgage payments. Sold one car to generate cash. Canceled expensive cable, downgraded to basic internet. Eliminated dining out and discretionary spending. Most significantly, Frank finally accepted his entrepreneurial dreams were never materializing and began seeking regular employment. Beverly increased her work hours and started seeking higher-paying positions. Reality they should have accepted years ago when Frank's businesses first failed. Their income was inadequate for their lifestyle preferences, and depending on others' financial support was unsustainable. What made it particularly satisfying was growing awareness among extended family that Frank and Beverly's comfortable lifestyle during years of unemployment and failed ventures had been entirely funded by the daughter whose career they dismissed as meaningless. One of Frank's brothers asked when he learned about it, "Wait, Freya was paying your mortgage and insurance while you were calling her career worthless? And then you destroyed her computer when she wouldn't give you more money? That seems insane." Insane. Exactly. 6 months after my financial withdrawal, I'd fully recovered from Frank's laptop destruction. Not because losing the device wasn't disruptive, but because my cloud backups meant none of my actual creative work was permanently lost despite his attempt to destroy 2 years of professional progress. I completed the first volume of the Meridian Cycle ahead of schedule. Advanced reviews were glowing. Pre-orders exceeded my previous releases by 40%. The book received starred reviews and an Eisner Award nomination. My career was thriving despite Frank's attempt to damage it. The success provided the most satisfying response to his dismissal, objective evidence that my graphic novels generated substantial income, critical recognition, and commercial success contradicting his drawing pictures for a living characterization. But beyond professional success, the most meaningful outcome was the clarity it provided about family relationships and the importance of refusing to enable people who attack you while depending on your support. Frank and Beverly had revealed their true character. Their subsequent attempts to pressure me through manipulation and guilt only reinforced they viewed me as a resource to exploit rather than a daughter whose achievements deserved respect. Some family relationships are fundamentally built on exploitation disguised as mutual support. One party provides everything while the other consumes resources while disparaging their source. The only healthy response when that becomes clear is complete separation. 2 years after walking out of that pool party, I continue thriving professionally and personally in a life completely separate from parents who learn too late that destroying someone's work while living off their income triggers consequences lasting far longer than temporary satisfaction of petty revenge. My graphic novel trilogy became a best-selling series. Television adaptation rights sold to a major streaming service for substantial payment. Critical recognition through industry awards and positive reviews continued. My reputation as an important voice in graphic storytelling was firmly established. The career Frank dismissed as meaningless generated wealth, recognition, and professional satisfaction far exceeding his failed ventures. The woman who once funded parents who mocked her career learned that being called useless by people who destroy your professional work as punishment deserves the ultimate response, removing yourself and your income from their lives and letting them discover what actual uselessness looks like when foreclosure notices arrive and services get disconnected. Thanks for listening, and if you liked this story, share it with others who've dealt with family members who dismiss their success while depending on their income. Don't forget to comment and subscribe for more stories about standing up to people who mistake your kindness for weakness. Sometimes the best revenge is simply removing the support system and watching reality arrive like a missed mortgage payment.